I'm Mike Deal from the Highway Safety Network, and I am the Community Traffic Safety Program Coordinator. And today we are going to talk about child passenger safety.
And I am Kim Smith. I'm a Safety Press Officer for PennDOT District 3 in Montoursville, Pennsylvania. And I'm going to go ahead and shut off my video so that I can share my screen. Go to the slideshow, and you should all see basics in car seat safety. Mike, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about some of the basics in car seat safety. We're going to talk about some of the things that we see commonly made mistakes in, and we're also going to give you some good safety tips. So Mike and I are both members of Save Kids Worldwide, the PA chapters. We are a member of both Lycoming County Partner and Greater Susquehanna Valley, which is out of the Danville campus of Geisinger. And then we are also a member of Tioga County Safe Kids. Just a little bit about PennDOT. You can see that we have quite a few roadway miles and bridges to take care of, and we have close to 11.5 thousand employees. All right, so when we talk about car seats, we're really talking about seatbelts as well. And so why should you wear a seatbelt? Wearing a seatbelt is the number one thing you can do to save your life in the event of a crash. If you're ejected from a vehicle because of a crash and you're not buckled up because of that, you are 25 times more likely to die. And airbags alone are not enough. They are designed to work with your seatbelt. So an airbag is not going to save you if you've been ejected from the car. So you do need to wear your seatbelt anytime you're in the car, no matter where you sit, for safety. Bear with me. I'm going to escape out of the screen so I can show you a quick video. There's no sound in this video. Just to show you, there's two children in the car, both unrestrained. One in the back seat, one in the front, but looking back. Both children come up and hit the dashboard. Airbag was not going to save that child because they're not in their seatbelt.
Kim, are you playing the video?
Oh, it didn't show?
It did not show.
Okay, let's try.
Can you minimize your PowerPoint? Maybe it's
Yeah.
hiding behind it.
I think it's because I have to tell it when I'm sharing. I'm gonna hit stop share, and then I'm gonna hit share again, and maybe I have to tell it to go to my Windows Explorer. Let's try that. Do you see the beginning of it now?
I'm still getting a gray screen on this end.
It might not let me. All right, sorry about that, everybody. We'll go back to my PowerPoint then. So basically, it was two children in the car, none of them restrained, and they both end up hitting the dashboard because they were not restrained in a car seat or seatbelt. All right, so the reason why this matters, the cold hard facts. So road injuries are the leading cause of preventable deaths and injuries in children in the U.S. This actually goes up to those up to 24 years of age. It's also the leading cause for teenage drivers and young drivers. Correctly using a child safety seat can reduce the risk of death by as much as 71%. And 3 out of 4 car seats are not installed correctly. So that might be that they're in there too loose, or maybe they've got a seatbelt and latch system installed, and that's not proper. It might be that the harness is too loose, or that the child safety seat is an appropriate size for the child. So we're going to try to help you with some of those things today and get you all fixed up. All right, so it's also Pennsylvania law. So our law states that anybody under the age of 18 must be belted or in a child safety seat, no matter where they are in the vehicle. And it's a primary law. And what that means is that the police officers, if there appears to be a child under the age of 18 in a vehicle unrestrained, for that reason alone, law enforcement can pull you over. It's important to understand that that's if they appear to be under the age of 18. So I have a 21-year-old son. He does not look 21. He doesn't necessarily look like he's even 18. If they see him driving without a seatbelt on, they can pull him over for no other reason than that. The law also gets into specifics when it comes to our children. So any child under the age of 4 must be restrained in a child safety seat. This is going to be one that has a harness. Children under the age of 2 must be rear facing until they outgrow the maximum weight and height. So they have to be rear facing until at least the age of 2. We're going to get into a little bit about the rear facing seats and talk about the fact that you should keep them in there as long as possible. So maybe they will be 3 before they get out of rear facing. And then children who are between the ages of 4 and 8, they must be in an approved booster seat. And then children from 8 to 18 just must be in a regular seatbelt. Again, we're going to talk about booster seats in a little bit, and we will find out why that some children, 9, 10, or even 11 or 12, may need to sit in a booster seat still. All right, and these laws do apply to ride-sharing services and taxis. So if you like to use Uber or Lyft or other ride-sharing services, or you do sometimes travel by taxi and you take your children with you, in Pennsylvania, you must still have them in a child safety seat. I know that I've been working with some Uber drivers trying to get the word out there, and they are instructed to decline the ride. If they show up to pick you and your child up and you don't have a child safety seat, they are supposed to decline the ride unless they have a safety seat that you can use. Some of them will carry safety seats, but we like to caution about that because child safety seats are not a one-size-fits-all. And of course, there are penalties and fines if you are transporting a child without a child safety seat or a seatbelt. The fines are $75 plus court costs. They can quickly add up, and that is for every child in the car. You get the fine for every child in the car. All right, so let's get into child passenger safety. There are 4 stages of safety, like we talked about in the law. We're not going to talk about best practice. Best practice is what's going to be safest for your child. So rear facing up to the age of 2 is by law, but we want you to keep that child rear facing as long as possible. We're going to go into details about that in just a moment. Forward facing generally is between ages 2 and 7, depending on the size of the child. Booster seats generally between the ages of 4 to 12, also depending on the child. And then once a child reaches 4'9" in height, generally the seat belt in the car will fit them properly. And we'll talk about fit later on. So there are 3 types of rear-facing seats. There's the infant-only seat. This is a seat that a lot of people have that have the large handle on it that you can just carry the baby in the car seat. It often works with the stroller system. Then you have a convertible seat. That is a seat that can become rear-facing or forward-facing, depending on the size and the weight of the child. And then we have an all-in-one seat. That seat, is kind of more bang for your buck. It can be rear-facing, become a forward-facing with a harness and tether, and then eventually you can take the harness and tether out and it'll be a booster seat for your child.
One thing I want to throw in there with that all-in-one seat, they are a fantastic thing. One thing you want to remember, though, is make sure that you are still checking the expiration dates on your seats.
Yeah,
Because they do expire.
they do expire. Okay, so this is just a graphic to show you what they look like, that rear-facing infant carrier. You see the handle on it. Usually it has a base that you can just snap the car seat down into. It makes it very convenient. The problem with those is that your child's generally going to outgrow that seat before they're the age of 1 because they have to be rear-facing up until the age of 2 minimum. In the state of Pennsylvania, that seat's not going to last you that entire time. The convertible seat in the picture in the bottom left shows you the same seat, rear facing versus forward facing. So it does have a different incline or recline, and it does fit children at different stages of life. And then your all-in-one seat goes from rear facing to forward facing, and then eventually a booster. One thing I like to always mention when I talk about those infant carriers is they are not for babies to sleep in outside of the car. And the reason why is because if you place them on the floor, then they're not at the proper angle for the baby's head and neck. Especially a young baby, their head is big and heavy for their body, and if it falls forward, they can actually suffocate and cut off their airway. Also, you don't want to leave a baby resting in there and loosen the harness up to let them be a little bit more comfortable, because a baby that moves around can actually get caught up in the seatbelt and get strangled. You never want to place these on a table or something and walk away either. So remember that the car seat is just simply for cars. All right, so we talked about rear facing as long as possible. You can have a child who's 3 and still fit that car seat. And we're talking about labels on the car seats here in just a little bit, but basically your car seat's going to have a label. It's going to tell you that this seat fits children to a maximum height and a maximum weight. If your child is older than 2, but still fits below those maximum height and weights for that rear facing, you want to keep them rear facing. It's really the best way to travel for them, the safest way to travel. It protects them against head and neck injuries. We do get a lot of questions like, well, my child has long legs and he doesn't fit. You can see here the child has his knees bent and his feet flat against the back of the seats. So it's simple to do that, or they can also crisscross their legs if they want. And just keep in mind that, most children aren't going to have a serious injury from a broken leg, but they would certainly have a serious injury if they had a brain or spinal cord injury. So rear facing as long as possible. Then we move on to forward-facing seats. These are the seats that are generally for children once they outgrow that rear-facing seat up into the age of even up to 7, depending on their size. So again, we have 3 different types of seats. We have that convertible seat, that's the same one that was rear-facing or forward-facing. We have the combination seat. This is a seat that starts as a forward-facing seat, and then you can remove the harness when the child is large enough to make it become a booster. And then again, we have that all-in-one seat. That's from rear-facing to forward-facing, and then eventually a booster seat. Again, pictures, same pictures of the convertible seat, same pictures of the all-in-one seat. And on the top right, you'll see that combination seat. That's the seat that starts out as forward-facing with the harness. The harness can come off and the tether can come off, and it would be a high back booster. And eventually that back will come off when the child's too tall for the high back booster and become just a regular booster seat. And then with booster seats, we have the high back that we just saw, we have a backless booster, and then we have the combination seats and the all-in-one seats. So there's your high back booster. You can see below the headrest there are some plastic hooks there. That is to guide the seatbelt to help the seatbelt fit their shoulder properly, so that it doesn't ride up against their neck. And then you have your backless booster. I'm sure most of us are familiar with that backless booster. Important to know that when you're buckling somebody in a backless booster, the shoulder belt, you want it to rest underneath those armrests there. You don't want it to be above. It gives them too much room to move around in a crash. And then seat belts. So we do want children under the age of 13 to ride in the back seat, and that's because those airbags come out with a very high force. So we want everybody under the age of 13 to ride in the back seat. And your seatbelt should fit you when you're 4'9" or larger. You do want to test to make sure it's a comfortable fit, that it's riding on their shoulder and not on their neck, and that the lap belt fits low on their lap. All right, so we're going to move out of those stages and talk about car seats in general. So all car seats are going to come with labels that look very similar to what you see here on the screen. They're going to tell you the maximum height, the maximum weight, proper threading for the seatbelt or for the latch. It's going to talk about the recline positions. It's going to give you all the information you need at your fingertips. So it is very important that you read the owner's manual as well, and that your vehicle's owner's manual as well. It's going to tell you different things about car seat safety. And you do want to make sure that you're following and that they match each other. If you have any questions or concerns, you can always call your car seat manufacturer or your vehicle manufacturer. I've actually been at car seat clinics where I've had to call Toyota to get some information from them because it wasn't in their owner's manual book, and they answer the phone and usually have people that can help you right along the way. So here's a demonstration of what your owner's manual will have in it. It will talk about different positions that you can have the car seats in, seatbelt configurations, when to use the seatbelt, when to use the latch, lots of information in there. And the latch system. Latch stands for lower anchors and tethers for children. Often they are in the back to outside positions, and sometimes you will have them in the middle position as well. There's an indication on the fabric usually showing you where the latch is located. The lower anchors are located. You can see like a little image of a child in a safety seat there. This is another reason why it's important for you to read your owner's manual or your vehicle. Some vehicles will allow you to put a child safety seat in the center using the latch system, using the two inside latches. Others will not. So you do want to make sure that you're following the directions. And then usually in the back of the seat or on the floor behind your seat, you're going to have the tether anchors. They're also indicated with an image there for you. And again, all that information can be found inside your vehicle owner's manual. All right, so there are types of seatbelts, believe it or not. There's not just one. So depending on the year of your car, you might have a seatbelt that might need to have a locking clip. And that is in that left picture. You can see the metal, looks like two U's facing each other on the fabric of the seatbelt. That is a locking clip. But most newer vehicles are going to have an automatic locking plate, and what you can do to test that is you can actually pull your seatbelt all the way out, and then as you let it retract back in, you'll hear it kind of clicking, and that's it locking into place. Your owner's manual is also going to tell you what type of seatbelt you have. But this is one of the things that we see often misused with car seats, that we see people use the seatbelt to secure the seat to the car, but yet they don't lock that seatbelt, so it has give and it can move in a crash. You always want to have that seatbelt locked in some manner. Some installation musts: you never want to place a car seat in front of an active airbag. And you want proper installation is going to result in not being able to move that car seat more than 1 inch when tested at the belt path. It's important that you test it down close to where the belt is, because that's where you have it secured. It's going to have more move elsewhere on the car seat. So you want to grab it down close to wherever you have that seat belt going through or that latch system going through for that car seat, and see if you can move it left and right more than 1 inch. And if you can, then you don't have it tight enough yet.
When you're testing that, you don't need to grab that seat and really yank on it. Just a tug one direction or the other, you'll know really quick whether that seat's going to move that inch.
Like I said, it's one of the most common mistakes that we see. All right. So I'm not going to attempt it because I know it probably won't work like the other one didn't, but this is just a video. It's a very quick video, just shows you a child safety seat in the front seat of a car. They get into a frontal crash and the airbag pushes the child back into the seat face forward because it's a rear facing child safety seat. One of the reasons why you never put a child safety seat behind an airbag. So children are safest in the back seat. We're all safer in the back seat, but you want to make sure children under the age of 13 are in the back seat.
Kim, do you want me to try and share that from mine?
Sure.
Okay. Tell me if you can see anything. It says that I'm going to take over from you.
Okay.
And can you see it?
I can see your screen. A little grainy, but
Were you able to see it?
I saw parts of it, and then it went to a traffic cone. Like there's a problem.
Okay. I'll play it one more time. What
Okay.
you're going to see here is a rear-facing seat that is sitting in the front seat of a vehicle. and there will be a frontal crash. At that point, the airbag will deploy, and you'll see what the airbag will do to that safety seat. There's the seat. See there, when that airbag hits that safety seat, it drives that seat straight up into the air and pushes the child into the seat.
Okay. So I will start my screen share again. All right. Harness use. One of the other common mistakes we see with car seats is that the child's harness is way too loose. If you can pinch it, like you can see in that top left picture, that is too loose. You want to be able to just have it tight enough that you can just barely squeeze a little bit of that fabric. Forward-facing harnesses, forward-facing seats, the harness should be at the shoulder or slightly above, angled up a little bit. On a rear-facing seat, you want that harness to be at the shoulder or slightly below the shoulder, kind of cupping that shoulder to help hold the child in the force of a crash. You can see that very bottom pic, that child, their harness is completely loose, the chest clip is too low. In a crash, that child could easily fly out of that car seat. So don't be afraid. I know you don't want to have it too tight for the children, but don't be afraid to make it just nice and snug. It's going to help protect them in a crash. And the harness adjuster can usually be found at the bottom of the car seat. This is where you can pull to make it a little bit tighter. You want to have that chest clip lower when you start to pull that harness because it will raise up. But once you do have that harness nice and tight that you can't pinch it, then you want to slide that chest clip up to be about armpit length. That way it doesn't hurt their internal organs below or hurt their neck above. Here you can see the chest clip in the wrong position on the left and the correct position on the right. Get a strong chest bone there and it will help protect that child. Down below, it can injure their organs. Of course, up at their neck, it can cut off their airway and do some severe injuries to their neck. This video, I think, will play. We do have winter coming up, but time to start getting our jackets and our coats out, and this is an important reminder.
7:40 now. Kicking off a special series called Save My Life.
And today it's the one mistake most parents make in the winter and the one thing you can do to save your child. Today, National Investigative Correspondent Jeff Rossman's got an important story this morning. Hey, Jeff, good morning.
It's so important for all of us. Savannah guys, good morning to you. I have small kids, and it turns out I make this mistake every winter. I had no idea, so I'm in the boat with you. We're talking about putting your kids in car seats while wearing their winter jackets. You think you're strapping them in, keeping them safe, but you're really setting them up for possible danger. This morning, the new crash test video that'll help us all save a life today. This one, violently tossed forward. And wrong. And this is my mistake, and you say I've been making a mistake, and how I put Blake in the car seat.
I think you are. Show me what you do.
Snap. This feels snug to me.
It looks like it's tight, but it's actually loose. Let's take him out and take the jacket off.
Do it. Take Blake out, remove that puffy coat, then put him back in. Wow.
And look how loose the straps are now.
This is unreal.
It's actually...
And we're at this crash test lab here in Michigan. I'm up here for a moment. We have, as you can see, this jacket strapped in the car seat. And to me, these straps feel pretty tight. Let's simulate a crash down this track at about 30 miles per hour, and let's get it going. Here, one. Dummy whipping forward, and just watch when we run the test again. Even her jacket sliding right off. Look at this. I mean, it's so scary to see up close. Miriam Maneri runs the lab. So what should you do?
We want to see a nice tight fit of the harness to the child's body. You should not be able to pinch any webbing up the shoulder, and this harness clip should be at armpit level.
Armpit level. That's an interesting tip.
Yeah.
And no puffy winter jacket in the car seat.
That's right.
And it makes all the difference. This time, the child dummy is properly restrained. No winter coat. Strapped snug against its body. Right, it works. That's the proof right there. And if you're worried about your child being cold in the car, here's the best advice.
So instead of putting the coat on him, now you can put the coat over him to keep him warm, or you can use a blanket like this.
And does this work, buddy?
Yeah. Blanket?
A simple move to save your child from this. Thank you to my son who had no idea what he was a part of in that car. No question, by the way, using a car seat is the best way to keep your kids safe. Just remember, strap them in without the winter coat on. And by the way, this is interesting. The same advice goes for adults, too. Don't sit behind the wheel.
Really?
Don't strap yourself in with a winter coat because the seatbelt will not fit against you. It's the same exact thing.
Wow. Eye-opening.
Yeah. Yeah, what are you doing tomorrow? Get Through Ice, all part of our Save My Life series. And you can see I'm
All right. Get out of that one. All right. So again, you don't want to have that big puffy coat on. I personally take my coat off now too after watching videos like that because I've learned a lesson as well. Those seat belts need to be up against your body, and a big puffy coat has way too much air in it, and in a force of a crash that can be dangerous. So I mentioned early on that we would talk about the proper seatbelt use. Here you can see in the picture on the far left that seatbelt is way too high on the child's waist. It's up on his stomach and up against his neck. So in a crash, he can hurt some internal organs and, of course, hurt his neck. It's also incorrect to make it more comfortable to put that strap behind his shoulder or underneath of his arm. That's not going to protect you in a crash. You need to have that against your chest and up against your shoulder. Here's an image of a correct seatbelt use. You can see that that lap belt is low on his hips and the shoulder belt fits them correctly across the shoulder. This is why it's important that your child be 4'9" or taller before they get out of that booster seat. So if you have a child who's 10 but on the smaller side, they may still need that booster seat. And I know it's a hard sell for those children. They don't want to be in a booster seat when their friends are all out of it, but it's really about safety.
And I can attest to that. That is a difficult sell. But my son actually just turned 9, and he is still in his booster seat.
Yes. And every car is different, so you do want to make sure that your child is fitting your child in this manner, low on the hips and across the shoulder before you let them get out of that booster seat. All right. So in Pennsylvania and across the nation, really, we have free child safety seat checks. This is where you can actually go in with your child in your car seat in your vehicle and have a technician, such as Micah and myself, help you get the best fit for your child and get the car seat installed correctly. Actually, this week is Child Passenger Safety Week, so a lot of our state police barracks actually have some clinics going on. But you can always call the state police barracks in your area and ask to schedule a child safety seat check. We don't advise that you just show up because their technicians might not be on duty. But if you call and arrange, make an appointment with them, they will be happy to meet with you and help you get that child safety seat. We'd like to remind our parents about aftermarket products. We don't want you using aftermarket products unless it's coming from your car seat manufacturer and they are stating that it is safe to use with their safety seat. We get a lot of questions about the pads or the blankets, the mats that go underneath the car seat to protect your vehicle seat from stains and spills. Unless that has been tested with your car seat and been approved to pass safety tests, you don't want to use that. The reason why we don't like mirrors are twofold. One, they can become loose in a crash and actually strike your child. But two, if you're looking in your rearview mirror to look at the mirror of your child, you're not looking at the road. So it's a distraction for you as well. So although those products are sold, doesn't necessarily mean that they're safe to use. So you do want to make sure that you're following your car seat manufacturer's guide.
That also goes along with the visors that go in your windows. So if you put one of those visors on your windows and they're not properly secured or have not been crash tested, those visors can come off those mirrors as well, off your windows as well.
And I think this is an important time to mention too. Anything in your car that's loose can become a projectile and hit your child. Your purse, if you carry a heavy purse like I do, you want to secure that in the car, or you want to put it in the trunk because you don't want that purse hitting the child in the head in a vehicle crash. I remember doing a car seat clinic one time when somebody had a big ceramic coffee mug in the back seat of the car with their child, and all I could think about was if that was in a crash, that could hit that child and really harm them. So you do want to make sure that you're aware of what you keep in your car as well. All right, so you want to register your seat. This is very important. The manufacturers are not allowed to sell you marketing things or contact you for marketing reasons. They're only allowed to contact you in the event of a recall. So if there is something about the seat that has been deemed unsafe and recalled, they can contact you if you have your car seat registered. You can register by mail when you buy your seat. It usually has a card that you can fill out and mail in. You can also register on the manufacturer's website. If you, for some reason, have a car seat that was given to you, we don't recommend that you use a used car seat unless you do know the people and know that it has not been in a crash and that all recalls have been taken care of and that it's not expired. But if you do inherit a car seat in that manner, you do want to go onto the manufacturer's website and register that car seat in your name. That way you get contacted in the event of a recall. This is a resource I love to recommend because it's customizable. So if you go just to Google and type in Ultimate Car Seat Guide, you're going to find this website. It's through Safe Kids Worldwide. And you can actually put in there your child's age, their height, and their weight, and it will tell you the type of car seat that would be best appropriate for them, such as rear-facing, forward-facing, combination, booster, all of that. It's not going to tell you a brand name. It's going to tell you a type of seat. It also has installation videos on this website, so if you have a combination seat, you can watch videos about how to get a good installation as well.
Kim, did you discuss that car seats are all tested the same way? So you can go out and buy a $300 car seat or a $100 car seat, and they're all crash tested to the same standard.
Exactly. Yes. Thank you, Mike. So as long as it's on the market in the U.S., we had an issue last year where there were some counterfeit seats being sold through Amazon. They weren't an Amazon sale. It was a private seller on Amazon. You do want to make sure that you're getting your car seat from a reputable source and that it has all of the owner's manual and the stickers and all of that on it as well. Some of those, they were being caught because they didn't have any of the labels and such on the car seats. But if you're buying it from a reputable source in the United States, it's been tested and it's safe. So the money that you're spending for the $300 car seat usually is to get a designer name, designer fabric, cup holders, that sort of thing. All right, and some general driving tips. So you want to avoid distractions while you're driving, especially when you have your children in the car. We talked about those mirrors being a distraction. You want to avoid those as well. Everybody in the car should wear a seatbelt. Anybody in the car can become a projectile in the event of a crash, harming the child. So everybody must have a seatbelt on. You never want to drive impaired by drugs or alcohol. You never want to get into the car with somebody who's been drinking or taking some drugs. Don't ever accept a ride from them. There are so many options out there to get you home safely now with Uber and Lyfts and taxis and buses. And don't drive aggressive. You want to obey speed limits, traffic signs and signals. You don't want to tailgate, weave in and out of traffic, that sort of thing. And some final thoughts about car seats. You always want to follow the directions for your particular seat. There are hundreds of seats out there, hundreds of different types of vehicles, so you want to make sure everything matches perfectly between your owner's manuals and that you're following those instructions. you want to periodically check the tightness of the installation. So, because they can work themselves loose a little bit. So every once in a while, do that 1-inch test. Grab it close to where the belt path is or the latch system is, and see if you can move it more than 1 inch or not. If you can move it, then you want to go ahead and reinstall and get a tight fit on that. Like Micah just mentioned, a less expensive seat does not mean it's not safe. They're all tested to meet strict criteria. The best car seat for you is the one that fits your child, it fits your vehicle, and it's one that you can use correctly every time. A lot of stores will allow you to go out and test the seat in your car before purchase. I know Babies R Us, which isn't around anymore, but they used to let you do that as well. I believe Walmart and Target will let you do that too. You could also measure the seat and go out and measure to make sure it's going to fit your car. And you don't want to be in a hurry to graduate your child to the next step in a car seat. Like we said, keep them rear facing as long as possible. You want to keep them in a 5-point harness as long as possible before you go to that booster seat. Always want to stay lower than their age if you can, by their height and their weight.
And if you have your seat installed by a technician and you end up switching vehicles at some point, don't be afraid to have that seat checked by a technician again in the new vehicle. We will check as many seats as we need to check to make sure that they're installed correctly.
That's right. We've actually had families come in 2 or 3 cars to have us test the seat in all of the cars. Mom and dad's car and then grandparents' car, just to make sure that everything is good. All right, so that was our final thoughts. There's just some website information you can go to. You can also go to safekids.org. There's a lot of good information about all types of child safety in there, including traveling on the car and on the road, in the car and on the road. Mike, do you have any final thoughts that you want to add?
Another source for information traffic safety related is the Highway Safety Network's Facebook page. We are posting on the District 3 Community Traffic Safety Project on a regular basis with tons of traffic safety information.
Okay, thank you. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we hope you have a great day.
Thank you.